But thanks God it worked out. So
that it's absolutely would be not normal, and
it was hugging trees, and then it just was like cosmos, you know, to make
they're very hungry. They're very hungry to meet new people.
You go to Tinder or Bumble?
I did, but it was very strange. Yeah.
That's okay. Now it's time to do business.
Hi everyone, I'm Yana Abramova, and this is the Tech Move, a podcast where we discuss stories of immigrated tech talents from moving to new countries, getting the visas, networking with new and great people in new country, and starting their tech journey. Join us today. And I have a very special guest today with us, Sergey Gonchar. He is the founder of MSQRD, which he successfully sold with his team to Facebook. He also founder of Loona, our portfolio company at Pretty Awesome, and a co-founder of Locals. Hi, Sergey.
Hey, Yana.
Great to have you here today.
Thank you for inviting.
Would love to hear, and I'm sure a lot of people will find it very helpful if you can share your journey, maybe some words about your background and how you actually made your way from your country, from Belarus, to the UK.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, to be honest, I already had some experience before moving to UK. I already had experience moving to another country from Belarus, where I'm originally from. So my journey actually started. So I got a job at the company of my dream. Back then, I used to be a Flash developer. So I used to do like a lot of 3D graphics, cartoon making, web programming, all this stuff. So, and I got a job of my dream. It's called Alternative Platform Company. It's in Perm in Russia. So, and I instantly, when I just got a job offer, I was already been ready to move to Perm, actually. Yeah. So for me, it was like, how to say, I was ready to like just like stand and fire straight away. Yeah. But just after a year of working on this company, I got another job offer from another company of my dream. It's actually, so the idea was the guy who used to be CEO of the company, he just called me from the beach of Montenegro, and the idea is that this guy has been like super professional from really famous Russian design studio called Artemir Lebedev. Yeah. So this guy has been working there before. They gathered the team and moved to Montenegro to build a startup of their dream. So. They knew that I had like expertise in 3D graphics, so they gave me a job proposal, and I couldn't resist and I just like took this job offer.
How old were you back then?
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and also the idea is that we got married with my wife after 2 months meeting each other. So I proposed her, and then we moved to Montenegro together. So it was quite a pivot in my life.
Seems like you were very courageous since the very beginning, since you're like yours. So when you were in university, you just decided to make a bold move. You moved to another country, then you moved to Montenegro, and then the same is your personal life. You fall in love in two months' time, done.
Yeah, now I understand actually that was dangerous, but thanks God it worked out. So. Actually, yeah, in a few weeks we are celebrating anniversary, so we are 10 years together with my wife, so that was good. So yeah, we moved to Montenegro. We've been living there about like 4 years and building a product. But one of the problems was with Montenegro is that its sort of ecosystem is quite small, and when you're building a product for the world, it's really hard to actually touch the market needs and talk to your customers, to the needs. So that was one of the main learning points for me back then. Yeah, so the startup didn't work out, and I moved back to Belarus. I also worked like in some other companies, like in gaming tech, and then we just like created MSQRD, and then Facebook acquired us, and we moved to London.
Yeah, that's I love like how you just decided to describe your journey before MSQRD, and then in one sentence. Yeah, it just was so easy. We created the company and sold it to Facebook and moved to London. Can you please elaborate on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe more than one sentence.
So I have my partner Eugene. We are friends from childhood from Grodno city. We've been building like different applications, like games together. So doing some IT stuff together. And so when I moved back from Montenegro to Belarus, so we just met with him and we decided to do something together. So back then also, actually the plan was we really wanted to move with Eugene to Montenegro together, but he decided to stay in Belarus. And I think it also was one of the great decisions because he developed himself in like the Belarusian ecosystem. I developed myself mostly as an engineer because in Montenegro the system is not IT world was not developed so well. Yeah, and we just like gathered all our experiences and managed to create like MSQRD. We went to a hackathon called Garage 48. We built a demo, we won the hackathon, and on the stage I promised that we will release the app in a month to the App Store publicly. And that's when it took off. So we just released the app. After 1 month we got like 1 million downloads. Second month 10 million, third month it was like 40 million, and then it just was like cosmos, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and then in 4 months Facebook acquires our company and we are moving to London to actually to integrate the tech as part of the deal with Facebook.
Yeah, sounds like a a dream story of every person who's actually working in IT industry. So it was very quick and very fast, and then Facebook found you, acquired you, and then you decided that you just want to be a part of Facebook and moved to London just to do the next step in your career journey.
Yeah.
This right. Is okay. Then I have more like 2 questions on here. How exactly what is your visa journey in the new country? Because I think this would be very useful for our listeners and who watch us. And then the second question is about the corporate culture of Facebook. Maybe something that you didn't know and you wish you knew before about the working in corporate environment in tech. And if you can share some fun stories, would be just awesome.
Yeah, sure. So first on visa, so companies here can give you a tier 2 visa, so-called like working visas. So you can join the company, you're attached sort of to this company, and in future you can switch. One of the great programs they have actually here in UK is called Global Talent. They probably renamed it, but it's renamed to Global Talent. Before it was and anyone who has any accomplishments, any achievements in the IT world, or especially in AR/VR industry, they can apply for this program and move here to UK, work by the profession and be not attached to the company. But it requires a bit more effort to do, but it's totally doable, and a lot of my friends switching to this visa actually from tier 2 to Global Talent one. So actually it was quite easy in terms of like getting tier 2 visa move here, and then quite easy to switch to Global Talent. You need to spend some time to compile reference letters and your own personal letter and submit the application, but it's nothing difficult. So
I think it's nothing really difficult for you, Sergey, but because you spent so much time and then you've done a lot of things in tech already by that time. But I think for tech talent visa is actually a very interesting visa in the UK, where you can apply. You need to spend a lot of time making the application, but if it's done in the correct way, and then you have your experience in tech, or as a tech person, or actually not non-tech person working in tech, you can also get this visa, right? So then
it really depends how you position yourself and sell. So in terms of like company, it's definitely was for me life-changing experience. Before, I have never worked in big corporations, so it's first time me touching this world. It's so before in startup it's much more easy to you have this feeling you're moving fast, because probably now I'm explaining myself. It's just because you just have less people and you make decision faster because you're in contact with like much less number of people who involved in decision making process. So in Facebook culture is quite different in the startup world, and so in Facebook you actually need to explain things from the ground to the top. It doesn't matter which background you have before you join Facebook, and that's something that you learn yourself to explain technologies like new stack to your colleagues. Yeah, because like Facebook never did before like 3D graphics in the main apps. They had like Oculus department, but yeah, it was one of the challenges, like how to bring this knowledge, yeah, I think this actually big part of this culture, because it pushes you to explain things from the ground to the top to everyone, and it just helps to transfer the knowledge. Yeah, and actually some things you can revisit, and maybe if there's already some like mutual knowledge in the industry, it's actually could be like revisited and ask yourself a question: can you make it like better or in any other way when you apply, like for instance 3D graphics for particular AR industry? Can you rethink maybe something, or like make something different? Yeah, and for me it was one of the big challenges to actually learn myself to prove the point, convince someone to do particular way. It's something that I didn't have experience before. So in startup it's just like quick you just like
try and test.
Yeah, mostly try and test, and the execution matters a lot. Yeah, and actually after doing that inside Facebook, so it helped me to understand even the industry more in depth, because when you're in startup you have this inputs, make fast decisions. Sometimes you just like eating bits and pieces just from the top. Sometimes you just don't understand the real ground for some things. Yeah, so so this part of the joining Facebook, that culture was a bit different.
Anything like fun to share with us? Anything like just that sparks in your memory?
Yeah, I mean
that you can share.
Yeah, when people from, I would say, our area arrive to another country like UK and USA from Eastern Europe, yeah. So of course, like we come with sort of like biases in our head, and here idea is to teach yourself to catch like these biases and don't think that way. That's the hard part. In terms of, so I actually had a really good manager inside Facebook. He gave me an advice to tell only facts. So because fact is fact, so you always can relate to that. Yeah, and it actually was really good advice, because sometimes you especially notice in people in our areas that they try to amplify things, amplify signals. If like two people told you something, you just say like everyone tells that.
Yeah, and then you ask yourself like, who is that everyone?
Yeah,
everyone is that neighbor from your who is living next to you, or who exactly did tell you this, right?
Yeah, yeah, sort of things like I don't know what I can share in terms of like to be safe.
Yes, that's a bit.
Yeah, I had some of the bumps on the road. It was safe and quite normal. I mean, people quite understandable here, and I would say UK is much more better in terms of like that comparing to USA. So if you literally like fucked something up,
yeah.
A lot of expats here, and people who moved from our area as well. So they mostly like will support you other than attacking and like kind of like
and making a big deal out of things, which is quite normal, you know, in our culture, or like, you know, in Eastern Europe it's quite normal. So here it's a bit less normal, but in the US you would say that it's absolutely would be not normal, and then it would be like a very big deal, right?
Yeah, here, you and with time, actually going through these like bumps on the road, you just teach yourself to notice these things, biases, and it changes your thinking completely. Even like I think this was very positive change in my mind, for especially for the future projects that we are working on. And when I just arrived here, I had this like motion that people not telling truth here.
Mm-hmm.
They try to round the corners, don't tell you something directly. Our culture is quite like strict and direct.
Just tell.
What was the problem here, you know? And so at the start, I was kind of like nervous and a bit angry about that, because I couldn't read between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with time, but again, now I understand actually how people communicate here is much higher level than we do, because it helps you to sort of to be safe, and sort of like when you're communicating something to someone,
mm-hmm.
not saying something directly, it actually helps you to save relationship in terms of there is like a theory about like mutual knowledge.
Yeah.
And if you, for instance, just imagine I have like two options: tell you something like directly that you might not like.
Mm-hmm.
Other option, I can tell you something in between lines around the corner, but
so I can adjust and like kind of respond to your feedback, and so then maybe just make a move towards the right direction rather than just be upset and be unproductive.
Yeah, and mm-hmm. in first case, you know that I said something directly and I actually mean it,
mm-hmm.
right? In the second case, we can pretend that nothing happened, and this is really important, because you know what I said, yes. But it was not direct, and still like you have this like open-ended, like he might meant something different, and it helps us. It adds like additional stage to actually save relationship.
Can you share with me like how exactly you do like you give a feedback to your peers or to people you work with? Because I remember you mentioned the framework, how you to give a feedback, which in a very nice way, so then people can react, and so that's not very offensive.
Yeah. So before my main mistakes being like I was giving advice or feedback by questions. So why that happened, or
what's your problem?
What's your problem? Yeah, when you just like simple trick, when you just rephrase that in what happened, how you feel, and what you're going to do about that, mm-hmm. what's the action plans, you can deliver any message with that framework to anyone. If you, for instance, just say that something happened and how you feel, it just can from another point of view, it feels like you're complaining just about something, right? Yeah, this is really important, because when you give feedback by asking questions, people project it to themselves, mm-hmm. and it's important to get rid of this personal component and actually just like when you say something happened, how you feel. What's the next steps? It's proactive. It's we know our common like mission, and we're moving there together. And it kind of like helps to save the health environment.
Yeah, like you're an international founder nowadays, because you've been living in different countries, and so you know a lot of cultures. So you know how to, let's say, play this game and like. To be the citizen of the world. Any tips you can give to Eastern European founders coming to the UK or to the US, and how to maybe help them to adjust to the local ecosystem, because of sometimes it could be very sensitive?
Yeah, sure. So now I'm just reflecting on my journey here, and it just happened that way. I think it usually happens to us when we arrive to a new territory. We try to find like-minded people, and especially the same language speaking.
Yes.
And I think one of the important things is try to break this circle and actually just like give it a chance to explore, understand the culture, local culture, explore the things. It's for me it was super interesting actually to break out the circle and start making friends, native friends here.
How to break this circle? Because this is again another question a lot of people are asking. Me, and I'm sure like you as well, if you know if you're coming from one country, you find exactly the same people who speak exactly the same language, so what can be done about it and how you can actually expand your circle in a new country? Any tips on networking? And then I would love you to share about locals, because I think that's exactly the company or the app that is trying to solve this problem, and I think that's very exciting.
Yes, so to be honest, I'm really upset that I didn't have locals back then before when I moved, because I believe I will much more connected here right now at this point. But again, like how to make new friends when you move to some. You go to Tinder or Bumble, so there is like context of dating, which is not kind of like the correct environment. Yeah. Other than that, going to like particular events and meetups, to be honest, actually one of the things here that I still like trying to wrap my head around, in our area, the events about like IT, like particular like techs, startups, they are much more concentrated in terms of like information and discussion. People have much more spark in the eye. Here, I just noticed much more mature people coming to the events, and for me, I just like comparing like our area events and here. So here, maybe because of a lot of corporations around, and maybe people a bit tired, because when in our area a lot of like new startups. And still, like it's a dream for people to make startups.
They're very hungry to meet new people, to exchange ideas, because tech is actually all about collaboration and then just like getting something out there and just share with your network. And so then how like you can get this like a word of mouth about the new company, right? Yeah.
For me, so particular example. So in Belarus, we had this like coffee and code. Which happened coffee and code.
Okay.
Which happened every, I believe, Sunday. We just gathered in the local cafe, and just like people came there, and we've been just like coding, discussing stuff, news, and so it was that level of dedication to this technology, like iOS development, and a lot of people came actually there, and it was super cool. I just remember myself, like we just been like. Exploring new libraries together, exploring new APIs, just like took the laptop open like and code together. Okay. Yeah, here I just like still can't find this sort of thing. Maybe there is, but I still can't. Yeah.
So, but that was a cafe where you can come in and there are like a lot of people are working, so you can just say, hey, my name is Sergey.
It was actually a community of iOS developers. Cocoa has and it was one of the events which happened just every Sunday. There's been big events which happens, I believe, like just in a few months. But anyway, here how you explore, you go to Meetup, look for a community of your interest, and try to kind of join. But join is really hard because especially if you're like alone. It's hard to meet new people when you're alone. You don't have like common context. It's hard to just like integrate and connect. And still there are not so much like casual occasions as, for instance, this coffee and code stuff. When you just like came, you just took coffee, some discussion happened, sat, and you kind of like there is opportunity to talk to someone. Yeah, here for me it was a bit harder. I don't know why. Still try to wrap my head around that. Yeah.
It could be awkward, right? And then sometimes you just want to connect with people and just talk about topics, but some people start to ask you immediately, what do you do? Like, where do you work? Okay, fine, thank you very much. And so then it's not really facilitating connections, because of firstly you need to open up, and you could be a brilliant person and like developing something great, but if you don't have a, let's say, big company behind your back, sometimes people like lose interest, and so they don't even have a patience to hear what you're up to. And so that's not really something that you want to facilitate and talk and continue to grow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so Locals is a mobile app, which helps you to make new friends and have fun, and at the same time do something good. So idea is simple. You can host an experience, so-called. It can be like something simple, or having a coffee and walking in the park, or you can create something more specific, share your hobby, or like go somewhere together in the park, do some sports, whatever. So you create this experience, you pick a charity of your choice, and then people can make a request with a donation amount. You can view their profile and see, and you can accept this request. So this money goes to donation, and you just got connected, and you can meet finally. And here idea is that there is already a lot of context around you, so you're on the same platform, the same community. You know what you're going to do, where you're going to do, with whom. Already some like common theme to talk about is like, you know, charity or particular cause, this experience. So a lot of things that always like connected you, and you already have some ground to step to, and basically do this connection. I really like do just simple coffee and walk in the park and talk to people about like life adventure, startups. Yeah, usually we talk about like life adventure, how we ended up here in London, tech stuff. Some people come for mentoring sessions, some people come just like to make like friendship. Yeah. And it's really cool. So it's so easy. You just like open the app, see experiences near you, join, and that's it. Yeah. So Locals is the great way. So I mean, you walk in the park, you see like a tennis court, and you want to play tennis. You won't be like texting to every your friend here and asking to play tennis. It's strange. You won't post it on Instagram. I don't know.
I did, but it was very strange. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's all right. But I think usually people don't do that. And in Locals, it's easy. You just like make an experience playing tennis together, pick up a charity, and people start to fill in, and you just like pick people, and you start to meet and make your friends. Because it's just also really great way to kind of like formulate the experience and publish it somewhere.
Yeah. And I think as well, like it really gives you, so you literally do a lot of things at the same time, because firstly you can experience new things with people that you want to meet anyways, and I feel this is the best way to, let's say, quote unquote network or like meet new people. It's not about, oh hey, can I pick your brain and we get another Zoom call, or nothing opposed to walking, but sometimes you just want something else. So for example, with one of my best friends who also in tech, we like to go and run in Paris bootcamp and then eat hummus after, because this is our tradition, and this is also facilitates a lot of, we have a lot of things to talk about. And I think like if you want to really bond with someone and develop good connections rather than just loose connections, it's good to have experience together, right? So then, and I know that on Locals you can find so many super interesting and unusual experience.
Yeah.
What's the most unusual one you participated in?
It was hugging trees in Hampstead.
Okay.
So idea of the host was that it was forbidden to hug other people, so he decided to collect people and hug trees in the park. So it was quite an interesting one, and maybe strange looking from the side, but it's something different. Yeah,
I mean, COVID definitely just changed our lives in a better or like worse way sometimes, because better than you don't need to spend a lot of time with people, but you prefer to meet on Zoom, but worse because you need to work remotely and sometimes it causes like troubles. And I know that you are involved in several projects, right? So you work on Loona, and on locals.
Yeah.
So how do you work remotely with your teams? Do you think it was a good decision? And are you planning to go back to the office, or what are the tools you're using to work remotely, and maybe some recommendations?
Yeah, there are a lot of other input variables, of course, in this situation. It really also depends on the people, their skills, depends on the process. So for instance, in Loona, the content creation process is really complex. It involves different stages of concept art, blocking, sculpting, baking, storytelling, audio, animation, effects, all of that. And it's really hard to set up this process to work properly remotely. But we are actually moving towards that, and we already have a lot of people working remotely. But still, the core team in the office. So we actually in Loona is great because in Loona we managed to build a sort of base. So we
the culture.
In terms of our office is our home. We just rented a warehouse, made some interior design changes, and it's so great. We have separate entrance to the street. On the street we have a lot of
basketball as well.
Yeah, we have big parking space. We play in basketball. People do skating there. Some of the guys, they're having motorcycles. They're bringing it into the garage. So we also rented garage next to our place. So it's so cool.
Yeah. But I just need to say that because of I'm super proud investor because of Loona. That really facilitates so much great things in Loona, right? Because people work together, and you've got the Apple Awards, Apple Design Awards. You've got the awards, the Android Awards as well. So you've got all the awards, I think, this year, no?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now it's time to do business.
I mean, it definitely helps.
Yeah, now we're focused on the growth, and we've been focusing before, but when we just started Loona, our idea that we actually always try to do something next level and better quality. And for us, it was sort of proof that we are moving to the right direction and do something meaningful. Because on the market, you also see other mobile apps that are have shitty design and not well structured interface. Yeah. And you just sometimes just upset how people use that. But anyway, they are good in the ways that they made great business out of that. So our idea was that we want to build something meaningful for people, beautifully designed, and do it, also grow it, make it big, build a brand, and it will be much more bigger story than just compiling simple app and try to grab money from subscription.
I know.
Yeah.
There should be a meaning behind, obviously. Then you're solving a very big problem for a lot of people, especially people who actually struggled with mental health after the pandemic and during the pandemic, and then they had no time or no capability to sleep normally. Yeah. I know that you have as well great partners and advisors, and one of them is Yuri Gursky. Yeah. Who actually as well congrats to them. I think they just raised 100 million. Yeah. For Palta.
Yeah, big guys.
Massive, is doing a lot of consumer-facing apps. But anything that you got from this mentorship or the partnership, and how did you form this with Yuri?
Yeah, so Eugene actually live next to Yuri's home.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Yuri, he and Eugene, they're talking to each other constantly and thinking together. So idea is that so Yuri brought enormous amount of his expertise and just life experience to our journey in every company. And Yuri is a sort of, for us, kind of like a guy who just like always bring another perspective to the matter, to any problem. And he is just like so well, I know he knows a lot of stuff. He has a lot of mental models in his head, and it's every time you talk to Yuri, you just like walk out from this conversation with completely different mind in your head. And I don't know how does he do that, but yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Can I ask you one of the last questions before we wrap up our interview? So how did your mindset change from being a 19-year-old person working in Permanent and in Montenegro to the founder of 3 companies? Right nowadays, that one you sold to Facebook, and then you're founder and co-founder of 2 more. So how did your mindset change, like from a startup perspective? Did you start to outsource more your responsibilities to other people? Maybe some tips and tricks.
Yeah, sure. For me, I try to delegate and try to build my team to be like self-controlled, and so my team just it's one of the principles. So my team should be able to make decisions by themselves, and I just like I won't say that it works just like this way right now, but it's never like that. So you always like constantly fix the process, try to fix things here and there. I work with my team a lot. I teach people to communicate the better way, how to like make knowledge transfer inside the company. Try to structure the teams better, do better hiring, all of that, all this process, they're improving with time. So yeah, of course, try to delegate as much as possible and try to hire people who knows much more than me. But of course, we're also hiring like some junior people, and I had this actually really great experience inside Facebook. I was mentoring an intern, and she got an offer in the end. So for me, it was one of the brightest moments inside Facebook journey. And I really like to mentor people, and that's what mostly I do. So I just like.
How to reach you? Like on which social media to reach you if someone wants to, let's say, have a great idea and like need your advice? How would they reach you?
Just everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, yeah.
Just write a compelling message and saying the reason why they need to be in touch. So you're a very approachable person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sergey. It was a pleasure to have you here today with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.